Welcome back to the Young Entrepreneurs Podcast. I'm your host, Spencer McPartlin. Today I'm joined by Daniel Berlin, who's the founder of Dirty Gut, a brand on a mission to make the world's best chocolate. Daniel is building something different by obsessing over quality, ingredients, and taste in a category crowded with noise. Daniel, thank you for being here.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for
Now,
having me, Spencer.
before I dive into the chocolate business questions, can you kind of walk us through your entrepreneur background before Dirty Gut, if you will?
Yeah, so I always have been very entrepreneurial since I grew up. Like I was the type of kid, I'd always be looking for ways to sell something or build something when I was a kid. I remember in fourth grade, I used to sell rainbow looms. I'd make all the bracelets and sell them to my family and friends who would buy them. But then when I was going into eighth grade, I lost 40 pounds, and that kind of transformed, I'd say, the trajectory of my life, or altered the trajectory of my life. And I became really passionate about food and health and fitness and all that type of stuff. And so I first kind of applied that just with my own life, like playing basketball. I really liked playing basketball in high school. But then when I was a senior in high school, I started working on, for a senior year project, a supplement company. So the idea was to make an all-in-one recovery supplement for athletes. So it's like sleep, joint health, muscle recovery,
Yeah.
all that type of stuff. And that was pretty fun. It was cool. I launched it coming out of high school and then ran that for about a year and a half into college, so right about until I was a sophomore. But I wasn't that passionate about it. And so I kind of started looking for something else to do. And around the same time, I was looking for chocolate because I really love sweets.
Yeah.
I'll eat like any type of sweet. And I realized that most of the chocolate that we'd buy today is pretty much the same as like what your great grandparents would buy 100 years ago, just cocoa, highly processed sugar, and a slurry of all these other additives that, you don't really need. I would thought about like, how can I make a healthier chocolate? Because for me, I'm very passionate about health and fitness. Like I said, I'm also very entrepreneurial. So I, want to turn that passion into a business, and I love chocolate. So it was kind of the perfect combo. And then that's how I came to Dirty Gut with all, despite all the other experiences and as I was growing up.
Didn't you have like two other ventures too?
Nothing like I was a very stereotypical sneaker reseller
That's what I thought.
in
Yeah.
middle school and a bit of high school. So I did that, resold some collectibles, like PS5s, Xboxes when they came out over COVID. That was probably the biggest other thing. I was all like, when I was in elementary school and middle school, I was always finding a way to do something.
So going off of that, do you think that a lot of it is like a saturated market? You look at chocolate, but you also look at like your soft candies, which are like artificial with high fructose corn syrup and 40. Like they've been like saturated in
Yeah,
the same market for years.
It's a very popular category. There's a lot of really big businesses, like you look at Hershey's or Mars. I think Mars is like the biggest privately owned company
Yeah.
in the US. The difference is though, chocolate also has a ginormous TAM. So like it's a $120 billion a year industry. And so even though there's huge companies like Mars or Hershey's, I think there's also room for other companies to be successful. And that's why you go into a grocery store and you see 30 different chocolate companies. And so I think there's still room for something like Dirty Gut to come in and take like a meaningful chunk of the category. But what's cool is because what I'm doing, I think, is very different from any other chocolate that's been out on the market. It not only can hopefully take a bit of the market share from the chocolate industry, but also grow the overall market because it is adding something new that no other brand is really doing.
So you're kind of the chocolate version of Smart Sweets, if you will.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to look at it. The comparison I like to use most often is we're the Olipop or Poppy of chocolates, because they take like the prebiotics, make it more gut friendly. They turn something traditionally disgusting for really bad for you into a health food almost, or health drink. So I'm trying to kind of do the same thing with chocolates.
But even then, like, it's good that they're a health probiotic soda, but then again, you also look, who owns it? It's Pepsi, right?
Recently, Olipop is still privately owned.
Maybe it was another company that I'm thinking of.
No, your
They got-
Poppy was bought out by
Yeah.
Pepsi now for almost $2 billion,
Yeah.
which is crazy.
Which is like, why would you make a healthier alternative to a soda and then get bought out by a unhealthy soda company to pretty much
Well,
I mean, I know why it was done because of shelf space and the fact that they can largely scale it, but then it's like healthy and unhealthy. One uses high fructose corn syrup and one doesn't.
yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it's a business. Like the people, they sold it because it's I mean, they sold it for nearly $2 billion. So,
Yeah.
not that they owned 100% of the company, but they probably still had a really nice payday. And also, like, I honestly think it's a good thing if bigger companies are buying somebody like Poppy because they'll be able to grow Poppy into a much bigger brand, most likely than Poppy could have by themselves. And like, it kind of shows like the table is turning. Like, if Pepsi is buying Poppy, then obviously they see that the, world is trending to be healthier.
How did Dirty Gut start and why chocolate? Which I think you've kind of started to talk about a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, it really just came from realizing that there'd been very little innovation in the chocolate industry as a whole since it was born. There's kind of like three phases of chocolate. There was like 2,500 years ago, the Mayans would eat chocolate, not really like what you'd think of today, but it was a chocolate drink with pure cocoa, and they'd mix in some herbs and spices, so it would taste really bitter, not at all sweet, like something that most people today would probably spit out and be like, "This is disgusting." And then starting around in the 1600s after the Columbian Exchange, so Columbus, came over
Yeah.
from Spain to like the New World with all these things, and one of the things that discovered over here was cacao, and they brought that back to Spain, and then Spain kind of brought it back to the US. And with all that like cultural mixture that went on between Spain and like the New World here, they started adding sugar, and then it turned into like a sweeter drink. And then you fast forward a bit more and you get to like Forest Mars
Yeah.
and Milton Hershey, who then really turned it into what we know today is, very sweet, solid piece of chocolate. So I'm trying to be almost like the fourth wave of chocolate. Like, we're taking that solid, sweet, delicious chocolate, but now almost bringing it back to its roots as something healthy again.
Now, do you look at the full cycle of the product the way that Mr. Beast does with like Feastables?
In terms of ethical
Ethical
sourcing,
in the way that it's produced.
yeah, I mean, what's nice is so Mr. Beast chocolate is definitely not really healthy for you, but because he has a lot of money behind him, he's a really great creator. He's done a lot of really good work around ethical sourcing and also educating consumers about ethical sourcing. So I think particularly people who are younger from our generation are looking for healthy chocolate. Like, it was interesting. I had a video go viral on Instagram recently, and a lot of the people who saw that video, just from looking at my analytics, were like 13 to 17-year-olds. And I had so many people commenting, like, is this ethically sourced? And I don't know if that video went viral like 5 years ago, if people have the same question. So it's something that's really important to me. And I worked really hard to find a supplier with strong relationships with these farms overseas. So we can make sure that there's ethical sourcing, that the farmers are getting paid a living wage, that there's no slave labor going on, which is a problem, as I'm sure a lot of
100%.
people know, in the cocoa farms. So it's very important to me.
Yeah. What problem did you see in the chocolate industry that made you say, I can do this better?
I mean, it was really just that, like, it hadn't changed in so long, and I was like, this is such an obvious thing that could be better. Like, chocolate, I think it's like 90% of US households have chocolate every week, and it's junk, but it tastes really good, and it doesn't have to be junk. And in my mind, I was like, this is so obvious, like really obvious. So I might as well just do it.
I think it's that, but I think that there's also a little bit of a awakening, so to speak, for like a lot of products because if you look at Gatorade, for instance, it's been marketed as a electrolyte replenish product, but then a lot of people look at it and go, it's not really
Right.
it's
It's
not
not really
really
that good
healthy. It's
for you.
pretty much like a corporate scam for
Sugar
a
drink.
product, yeah. And I think that it's that, but it's also like mothers saying like, do I give my child something with like 32 milligrams that has like high fructose corn syrup versus like the alternative, which is like a lot better. And I think it's that, but it's also like a lot of healthier products versus the ones that
Right.
people we used to eat and didn't really question. But
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
what does world's best chocolate actually mean to you?
So to me, and this is kind of like one of the values, I guess, of the company is best in every single category. So I say best, I mean like really, some of the best tasting chocolate that you'll eat. Like, I think it really could go up against some of your favorite chocolate bars. The second is best for you. So everything in the chocolate, making it higher in fiber and lower in sugar and putting in these like probiotics that you obviously would never see
Yeah.
in chocolate. It's about making the best chocolate for you. And in turn, I think that really gives people like the best experience because it's a really good tasting chocolate. It's much better for you than traditional options. It's fun. It's like a really enjoyable chocolate to eat too. Like it has a very unique shape. It's a bit more of a enjoyable experience, I think, than the very standard bar that people are used to. And so I kind of see that as like pursuing excellence. When I say we're making the world's best chocolate, that means like pursuing excellence in every single facet of the business.
Now, do you think that you could match the sweetness level, or do you think that it would be a little bit different?
To something like Hershey's,
Yeah,
I could match the sweetness level, but honestly, like most, it's only really young kids. If you actually, there's like some research on this, like young kids are the ones who prefer something really sugary, like Hershey's. If you put a Hershey bar up next to like a milk chocolate bar you buy from Whole Foods or even a Feastables bar,
yeah,
you'll realize the Hershey's chocolate and the Feastables don't really taste like anything. Like they just taste like sugar. So we can, like our chocolate is still, or the milk chocolate at least, is still decently sweet, but it has much more of a chocolate flavor than what you get buying a Hershey bar. It's like, it's a fun thing to do. Like if
yeah.
you actually taste a Hershey bar next to a real chocolate bar, it's like, what am I tasting? Like it literally does not taste like chocolate at all. It's just sweet. It's the flavor you get.
Let's say I'm in the chocolate business and I want to be the healthy alternative part of it. Part of it, I think, is like, how do I balance it out so that you're able to gradually adjust people to going over to your product versus going over to the dominant product that's been in the market for a while.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, like, part of that was when we were doing development of the flavors, the idea was to give it, like, an upscale taste of what you'd expect. So, like, Hershey's is very sugary, but it also has, like, kind of like a cool milky taste and is really creamy. So, the Dirty Gut milk chocolate has a really nice, like, round, milky taste, and it's sweet, and it has a nice chocolatey taste, and it's really good. It's still very creamy and melts in your mouth. And so we're taking like all the qualities that people would want in chocolate and like making them really good. Because I think if somebody tasted a Hershey bar next to a Dirty Gut, like the Dirty Gut tastes much better. Hershey's is cheap because they use really cheap ingredients. And with that, you get a cheap taste. And like apples to apples, chocolate bar to chocolate bar,
Yeah.
I think Dirty Gut wins.
Now, where do most food brands cut corners that you refuse to, which I think you've started to elaborate on?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of food brands, the biggest thing is just in ingredients. Like even if you go into Whole Foods has so many banned ingredients, but there's still a lot of brands that seem healthy, but they're laced with like all these, they're really sweet, like really, really sugary, have a ton of extra emulsifiers that are terrible for you, have palm oil, which is bad for you, bad for the environment, have seed oils. I guess some people could debate if seed oils are actually bad for you. I personally don't like seed oils, but like there's so many brands out there. The ingredients are really bad. A lot of people don't care. A lot of people do care. So it kind of depends what you're looking for. But my thing was like, I don't want to cut corners with any of the ingredients.
So it's like a 50-50 of like, do care versus don't care.
It's not care versus don't care, but it's like there's kind of two, like some people might want to buy something more expensive and with like really, really high quality ingredients. But for the average person, like they can't just go buy everything at Whole Foods, right?
Yeah.
Like Whole Foods is pretty expensive. And it's not necessarily because they're out there to like make unhealthy food on purpose. But if you're trying to make something cost effective for consumers, like you just can't buy oftentimes the best quality or most healthy ingredients.
It's that, and I mean, I've been to like Costco. Like you can tell if like Costco when I've been there, it's like a lot of sugar things, and then if you go to like Whole Foods, it's like it's a lot healthier. But I think part of it is also like budgeting for it, but also knowing what is what and what's the healthier version versus what's the one that's just full of sugar and just gonna spike your glucose or whatever. But what's been the hardest part of turning a product obsession into a real business?
The biggest thing was definitely manufacturing. There's not that many manufacturers who make bean to bar chocolate in the US or even in the world. And even more so, there's not many that are willing to work with a brand new company run by like a 22-year-old. So it took a while to find the right manufacturing partners. And also, given that I've never really done anything with manufacturing in the past, it was a very big learning curve. I've learned a lot. I still have a lot to learn, but there's a million things that you don't think of when you're trying to get something manufactured. Like even down to how do I get a truckload of the raw ingredients from California to my manufacturer in Boston? Like, who's your broker? Who are you gonna call? Which are you gonna send it in a refrigerated truck? Are you gonna send it in a normal truck? Like, there's just all these things that get very complicated very quickly, and it took a while to learn, and I'm still learning a lot, but that was definitely the hardest part.
Now, next question is how do you balance creativity with the realities of margins, growth, and operations?
I mean, I think, like, it has to be a business at the end of the day, so the unit economics, they have to work. I try to just be as creative as I can within those bounds, like, make the best product I can within those bounds, kind of understanding the margins. There's a million things I wish I probably could do if I could charge $100 for the chocolate. Maybe it'd be, like, gold-plated and who knows what else, but, the reality is I can't, so, I try we try our best. I think, we still got a pretty good product within those margins.
Now, switching gears a little bit, I know that you go to Babson, right? How does that, how did that one accelerate your growth for your business, but two, I know that in the past you've talked about it was like free reign, and so you're allowed to like blow up your social media and get a lot of exposure.
Yeah, I mean, there's because Babson is like an entrepreneurial school, and there's so many people there starting businesses. It's a very motivating environment to be in because you're constantly around people who are starting businesses, and you learn a lot. Like, I learn a lot from being around those people. So I guess, like, content. Two of my friends from there, one has he's trying to make the Indian Chipotle. It's
Yeah,
called
no,
Desi Eats, and I watched him blow up on Instagram, and that kind of gave me inspiration, like motivation to try and do so myself. And then this other guy, his name's David. He has a matcha truck called Bai Che in Boston, and he blew up really quickly too. He got to like 70,000 followers. And so, like, both of them, I've learned from both of them. They've helped me. Like, I recently was able to get some good traction on my content. And then besides that, just the professors at Babson are amazing, or most of them. And like the network, I have so many people who are alums from Babson or I've met through Babson that continue to be very helpful and mentor me and advise me in the company. So I honestly, like, I can't imagine I would have got, like, I'm sure I still would have been doing something in another school, but I really do feel like Babson and like the people specifically have helped a lot.
so that kind of allowed you to, if you will, take on a rocket ride, like to blow up your social platform for
I mean, I think
kind of
everything.
saying, "Hey, here's me and here's my product, and if you want to jump on the bandwagon and watch this thing take off, go ahead. But if not,
Yeah.
don't bother." And
Yeah, keep
you'll
on with your day.
yeah. How do you get customers to feel the difference instead of just hearing marketing claims, which I'm sure a lot of people can get sick of the same repetition?
I mean, like, realistically, that just comes from people trying it. I've tried to do a good amount of samplings at stores, like where you go into the store and you set up a table and give out samples, because that way people can actually try it for themselves. Like, and going forward, that honestly is the biggest thing too. Like, I can say as much as I want, but it's a food at the end of the day, and people, they're not really, probably won't fully believe me until they get the chance to try it for themselves. So I'm just gonna try and get as many people as I can to try it.
What feedback from customers has mattered the most?
I would say when I launched the first version, just one flavor in April this year, I got a lot of feedback around why people were eating it. And so, I'd hear people would buy it. I'd say it has probiotics in it. And sometimes I would just feel kind of out of place. I'd be like, it's really delicious chocolate and has probiotics. They'd be like, oh, nice. Like, but what I realized is that a lot of people were buying it not necessarily just for the probiotics, but because it gave them permission to indulge in something and to eat like something they typically look at as junk food and feel much better about. And so that's kind of shifted my messaging. And also, with our new line coming out, like, it's higher in fiber, lower in sugar, and then also has a live probiotics. That piece of customer feedback has been really helpful. And then also just making it taste delicious. Like, I think our first version tasted pretty good, but it wasn't absolutely amazing. And so the new the new ones coming out are really, really good. Like, I spent a lot of time making sure they tasted delicious.
Now, do you have a roadmap, so to speak, for new products or what's going to happen later on?
I have a general idea, yeah, but, like, I mean, it's tough to plan because like, anything could happen. But I do have a pretty good idea of, like, what will be coming next.
Well, I think kind of what I was trying to drive at is that do you see it kind of going away, or do you see it kind of blowing up and being the next big company, so to speak?
Well, I certainly hope it doesn't just go away. I mean, my goal is to blow it up into a really big company. It'll take a while, probably take like 5 to 10 years, but that's definitely my goal. The way I see it is like it'll either I want to blow it up or just blow it up in my face.
Yeah.
Like, if it goes down, like I want everybody to know about it that it went down. Like I want it to be a big thing. So we'll see. We'll see. But I'm very excited about the future.
Has there been any interest, so to speak, from either investors or whoever might be who's kind of, like just having a general interest and saying, this is pretty interesting. We might want to come back to this later and see a bigger expansion with growth or whatever it might be. Right? Like just people who are kind of taking note about it and saying that this could be a serious thing, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely had a lot of those conversations with various people, whether it's like grocery store buyers or investors or customers. I think people are excited. Like a lot of people really like the idea. And so I feel like we're onto something. It's now just kind of a matter of actually executing and having, getting the fundamentals in place to grow the business.
Now, how do you juggle being a student and being a founder and a business owner?
Honestly, there's not much to juggle. Like I take 2 classes right now. They don't take up much time. It's like the equivalent of having a side hobby. So I wish I could give you like a more interesting answer, but like it's not that, like for me at least, it's not been that big of a challenge. The reason why is because I overloaded on my class schedule when I was a freshman. So I took extra classes when I didn't necessarily need to. So that now, I'm only taking 2, which I guess I'd probably recommend to people who imagine they're going to be starting a business. But yeah, it's not like it really honestly hasn't been hard to like juggle that. I think if anything, it's made it easier because I have everything I need right by me. It saves time. Like the gym is a 5 minute walk away. Food is 3 minutes away. All my friends are right there. I don't have to go drive to hang out with somebody. So it's honestly good. Like I think it's helped.
Was it ever a problem like junior year at all? Or is it kind of like a slow period because the idea in the business hadn't?
I would say as my class schedule has dwindled or my course load has dwindled, the business has picked up. It's been like the inverse. So like my course load has decreased the past 4 years and my business workload has increased the past 4 years. So it's always been actually about the same total level of workload. It's just shifted where I'm allocating my time.
What's the word? Are you paying yourself? Or are you kind of like unemployed or like a free agent? Like like once it takes off, then you're gonna like pay yourself or whatever it might be, right? Like just starting out and then not putting a lot back into the business and not really paying yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not paying myself like while I'm in school, but once I graduate and this is like truly my job, I will be for sure.
Now, what do you see as kind of being your future, so to speak? Do you see yourself um, getting a job, or do you see this kind of being your full time job and um, taking off?
No, I mean, this is definitely what I'll be doing for sure. Like I don't envision getting a job anytime soon. So yeah, like this is like I'll be graduating in May and this will continue to be my focus from there on out. Even bigger focus now that I won't have school to worry about.
Well, I think part of what I'm trying to drive at is like, how are you gonna like, have cash flow or anything if you're not gonna pay yourself initially starting out?
Like personal cash
Well,
flow?
either that or just like either personal or just like a business since you're gonna be reinvesting all your money back into the business.
Yeah, I mean,
Like if you have to cover
like fortunately, I mean, I look at college as kind of like a resort. So the food, you just walk to a dining hall and get as much food as you want. The gym is right there. So you don't really have many expenses being in college. And once I graduate, like I'll pay myself because I will have
yeah.
expenses outside of college. But I think that's kind of something you just you have to plan for and like be mindful about in your business in terms of fundraising, in terms of managing your cash flow and all of that fun stuff.
Have you met any either well-known people or people that shifted your perspective for whatever it might be?
I'd say a couple people I met. It was both. One was virtually, one was in person. So I met Mike Rapoli in person. He's the founder or co-founder of Body Armor, Vitamin Water. He's a billionaire, and this dude is crazy, like genuinely crazy. He did an event at Babson and had 150% energy for 2 hours, and he could have kept going, but they had to end the event. So he's absolute beast, of a human being. But what I learned from him is like you can literally just do anything. Like the amount of like internal motivation he had, he wasn't gonna stop until he won. Like that's where I kind of got the thing. Like I see this as I'm gonna blow it up or it's gonna blow up in my face. Like that was his mindset. Like I'm gonna do everything I can to blow this up and to like make this, one of the biggest companies and most impactful companies. And that just like when you see somebody like that, you see what's possible. Like he started out as a very low level salesperson, selling beverages, and then he became a billionaire. You see that truly anything is possible. And the other person I met, I'm sure most people know who this is, but Alex Hormozy. So he spoke to Babson, to like our organization or club at Babson. And the biggest thing I picked up from him is just that the level of like that you need to accomplish something is so much more than what you might expect or initially expect. And so like whenever I feel like I try to bring that mindset to everything of like, I'm not gonna just, get this done, but like I'm gonna attack this and like really get something done and like put all my effort into it. Um, before I, give up on something. So both just, really incredible entrepreneurs and very inspiring people to be around as well. Just their work ethic and what they've both been able to accomplish.
Now, I know that you guys have another donor too. Don't you guys have Arthur Blank as a donor?
Arthur, yeah, he's a big donor for Babson. I've never got to meet him though.
I know that he's done very well. There's a friend of my dad's who he got to he he took he took a friend of my dad's out to lunch.
Oh, really?
He
It's
was
very
Yeah,
cool.
he graduated. What was I gonna ask? What do you think about the school Hard Knocks?
I'm not familiar with what that
Do you
is,
know
to be
who
honest.
the kid is? He's 23 and
Oh, yes, yes, I know
yeah.
who that is. Sorry. Yeah, I mean it's cool. He gets to, he's talked to a lot of pretty famous people. But I honestly like I haven't watched enough of his videos and interviews to like give you much of an opinion on him, but it seems pretty cool what he's been able to do.
I mean, my dad and I were talking about this. We watched when he interviewed Todd Graves. It was scripted. Like the way he approached it, the way he got out of the van, and it was like this is like free publicity. But I think part of what I was asking was like, is what he? I mean, obviously he's doing a lot of good, but selling courses and everything. I mean, I think part of that's okay. And then you also look at like this is me. Like I look on like TikTok sometimes, and it's like the easy way to make money. Over the summer, one of them was like you go onto Canva, you create a calendar, and you upload it at like PayHip or whatever, and you put a price tag, and then it was like something stupid, and I was like, oh, this is like easy way to make money. And then there's a kid who I interviewed last year, it might have been this year. He's my age, but he does FBA, which is like selling books. And then my dad and I calculated it because it's like you have to source the books, you have to label them, you have to put them in the box, take them into the UPS store, and then if they're gonna take like 20% of your pay, then that's like very little. I mean, I remember like February, I didn't know a lot about this one person, but the person kind of scammed me, so to speak, because he's like, yeah, pay me $100 a week, and I'll blow up your storefront. I don't is that, and then it was like my sister being like, it's pretty much a scam. So I was able to get my $100 back, but yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot of sketchy people out there.
I think part of it too is the fact that everything now is like make me money really quickly, like instant. Don't
Yeah, instant
don't work for it,
gratification, but
and
it's a
it's like
long game for sure.
it is. But I think
Yeah.
everybody now it's kind of like it's two things. One is the fact that you see everything that is like either rented or like all the elite things like a jet or a car or a house or a yacht, and you're like, oh, that's easy. I just do this side hustle and it blows up, and then I'm able to afford this lifestyle. But I think part of it is the fact that people don't fully understand that it's like 5 or 10 or 20 years. And so they're like, oh, I can just get it right away. And
Yeah.
it doesn't really require a lot of effort. And it's just like there.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a long-term thing.
Talk us through the being personable, like the outgoingness of the page, if you will, for your brand, like kind of being like
Oh,
energized with outgoing, but also like energized and like trying to engage with the viewers who are seeing the videos.
yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to like your personality. I have like a pretty outgoing personality sometimes, I would say. But I think like the biggest thing is I like on my Instagram, for example, I try to respond, to every comment I can and like get people involved. So I think no matter, how your videos sound or like what you do in your videos, if you start responding to them and like show people that you care, then, they're gonna want to come back and like watch your stuff again or be involved with the brand. So I try to bring everyone in and like make them feel welcome to the brand, to the page and all of that.
Kinda like bringing them along for the ride.
Exactly. Yeah. 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 I want them to feel like they're part of the growth of the company. I mean, I'd say like the why was kind of, I saw an opportunity to make a much healthier chocolate. It's something I was very passionate about. The how is that I just tried to get in touch with as many people as I could and like learn from people who were more successful than me. So if it was something with supply chain, I try and learn from someone who is an expert in supply chain. If it was something with R&D, I try and learn from a food scientist. If it was something about manufacturing, I try to learn from like another brand owner who's done a lot of manufacturing. So really, it was just about like I tried to speed up my time to learn by talking to as many people as I could. And sometimes they came from people I already knew. A lot of times, though, it came from reaching out to people who I'd never met before and just seeking their advice. And, more often than not, people are very willing to speak with you, especially if you have like a reason for reaching out. And so that was really, really helpful when I was starting. And I still, continue to reach out to people and rely on people for help and advice. And that's been one of the biggest drivers, I think, of what I've been able to do so far is leaning on other people.
Even if you don't know them, like, just hedging a bet or a risk.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, the follow-up is, if you could ask the next guest one question, not knowing, who the person will be, what would that question be?
Well, I would ask them, how do they this is something I've been curious about asking like successful people recently, but how do they prioritize stuff? Like how do they figure out what to do and when to do it? Like if they're looking at their day, it's like what do I spend my time doing today? Because I think it's very easy to get bogged down doing like random things that don't actually push your business forward at all. I've been very curious to learn about like what habits do these successful people have that helps them be successful. And I think a lot of that comes down to like how they spend their time. So it's been something I've tried to learn a lot about.
Last thoughts or, questions or anything that you have or anything that's pondering?
No, I mean, this was great. I love talking about Dirty Gut. And I love talking about like building the business. And I think if like the one thing I could leave on, like the biggest lesson that I've learned in building a business is exactly what I just said in like the previous question was leaning on people. Like I try and talk to as many people as I possibly can and, like genuinely build the genuine relationships with these people and like become friends. And more than anything, that's been the most helpful. I'll leave it with that, but yeah, this has been awesome. I appreciate you
That it
having
has.
me.
Yeah, of course. I had one final thing. What do you think about, like, the influencer market, so to speak?
And it's pretty saturated now because it's very easy to become. I don't use the word influencer anymore. I prefer creator. Everyone can be a creator now, so it's more saturated, but it's also cool because it gives you more. There's more people to work with. There's someone for every single very specific niche. So like it's cool to me because I think like literally any average person can become a creator and like or an influencer. So I'm very bullish on like where that whole economy of creators and influencers will continue to go.
I think it's that, but I think it's also, like, having your own product that goes along with it,
Yeah.
besides just being, like, a social front,
Yeah.
so to speak, like making videos or whatever. But I think that's a good way to end it. Daniel, thank you for the conversation. Your focus on quality and doing things the right way really stands out. For everyone listening, this has been episode number 24 of the Young Entrepreneurs Podcast. Follow the show, subscribe, and leave a review if you got value from this episode, and we will see you next time.
Thanks.